international connections and collaboration with other universities and academic institutes around the world. Unfortunately, not all the universities know how to make these connections and with whom. And here comes the United Nations with a very important role, first of all, as a facilitator. And I think that it can build connections and collaborations that could not be available without the help of the United Nations. And as an educator, I would say that the United Nations is playing here like the responsible adult. As a chemist, I would say that the United Nations is an initiator and catalysator of this process.
In terms, Mr. Damodaran, in terms of strengthening the international cooperation for higher education and promoting interactions, what is the ultimate goal of UNAI?
You know, Kent, I think as Dr. Adams mentioned, we're in such a different phase now of international cooperation because of the rapidity of it. But, you know, look, for instance, at this wonderful backdrop behind you. Now, when whoever designed it for personal satisfaction, probably knew that someone someday would appreciate it. But there's no sense that this was going to be something global. Now, we have two almost contradictory impulses. You have scholars who work in loneliness because they need peace, undisturbed, to be able to work and create, accomplish, and be remembered. And you have others who want to be energetic and to cooperate with others and reach out. The point of UNAI is that there's room for both the lonely scholar as well as the cooperator, so to coin a phrase. Because even individual scholarship, intense and isolated though it may be, can make a difference. And I'll give you a very simple challenge, if you will. Go through the list of Nobel Prize winners, not for peace, not for literature, for chemistry, physics, medicine. Look at the discoveries that they have been recognized for. You will find that each of them have made a difference to people's lives. That is what the United Nations is set up to do. So when those two aims coincide, then you have an absolutely cooperative and mutually supportive approach. And that's really the mission of UNAI.
To expound on that, Professor Milgram, what is the first step in creating international project for higher education?
First of all, we must remember that any project that is done is project not only between universities or institutes, but first of all between people. And that's why the first condition is mutual trust and respect. And understanding that both, or more than two, but both institutions are coming in equal situation, in equal level, and it doesn't matter if it's north and south and developed and development. Believe me, when you are coming to make connections with one institute, you must look straight in the eyes to the other people and then understand that this must be a win-win situation. And only from this point of view, you can begin, and this is the first step.
I think you're saying that the horizontal communication must be established.
Yes, and then the sky is the limit.
President Kim,
yes.
The history of universities in Korea is relatively short compared to that of the West. However, many universities have grown substantially with the help from foreign nations. Could you explain the development of universities in Korea?
Yes. History of Korean higher education is relatively short. In Europe, maybe 400 years old. And in Japan, maybe 200 years old. Korea, about 100 years old. And so the higher education actually started about 100 years ago. And so one of the earliest, first national university was Seoul National University. And other one is established by the missionary from the Western countries. And actually, the Korean higher education actually started after Korean War, say 1960s. Until 1960, higher education in Korea mainly focused on undergraduate, not for research. In the 1960s, Korea started for industrialization. And they needed some higher education, like the master's level, PhD. Until that time, many Korean universities, they didn't focus on graduate school. The first graduate schools established by government was the KAIST through the aid of the USAID. USAID, they helped establishment of the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technologies. They are focused on producing masters and PhD. After that, private university focused on research was a POSTEC, Pohang University of Science and Technology, 1986. And so after that, Seoul National Universities, many private universities, they also start, the upgrade of the graduate schools. And so I think the KAIST and POSTEC were first momentum for upgrading of the Korean higher education. POSTEC was strongly supported by POSCO because the graduate school of science and technologies, they need a lot of financial assistance. So also the KIST was a government-established research institution. That was in 1967. That was helped by USA, the Lyndon B. Johnson, when he visited first time in Korea in 1963. And he helped for financially establishment of KIST. So in Korea, KIST, KAIST, POSTEC, Seoul National University was a main, the higher education institution. That is helped by UN, UNCRA, UNESCO, and also USAID. And now we don't receive any more aid from the foreign countries. But for first in 1960, 70, and 80, it's very essential for having a system